the poverty mindset. If you don't think rich, believe you're rich, then you're poor. That's a great way to justify poor people being poor and rich people being rich and having no real accountability, responsibility for poor people being poor. When the fact of the matter is, if you investigate how our global reality functions, there is an interconnectedness, an interdependency upon one another existing here. So this is a point that often gets overlooked at when trying to be successful in this world, or justifying your success as like all right, and that the system works. You just need the right mindset to be successful in this world. And I'm not saying that you don't need a particular mindset, certain personality traits to be successful. What I'm shedding light on here is that if we look at our monetary system, like globally, how the money moves around, money works, is that it's totally fucked up. And, who is it that can be responsible for fixing the fucked up situation that exists here other than, those that are in a position of wealth, money? Like, if you don't have money in this world, like lots of money, you don't really have the time to think about, these things that I'm presenting here so much, because you're just trying to survive within the system. And a kind of catch-22 exists from this perspective because, you know, if you have money, you're able to fulfill a lot of your desires. And so you're able to be entertained and, focus on your pursuit of happiness, or being happy within being able to do lots of different activities. And, you know, holding on to this poverty mindset that it's all in how you think and what you believe, it's an abdication of self-responsibility from the perspective of being like, no, I don't really have to actually like look for global solutions that would be to the betterment of humanity, because anyone can have what I have if they just have the right mindset. When the truth of the matter is that our shared reality is a numbers game, and we're seeing the increasing divide in the numbers game as like how that works, like just this divide, this gap, the cleansing of the middle class, if you will, where you're either an elitist or you're fucking poor shit, like getting the raw deal, the raw end of the spectrum here as it plays out. And to take this point further, I'd like to address just how there's some certain negative like stigmas around particular words that if you investigate, there is like some actual coolness there. One of those words that's come up recently where I've seen it used in like a very derogatory, like negative type of way, when talking about like creating like a better monetary system that would be to the benefit of everyone here, is socialism. And I find this quite peculiar, because, if you look at the word socialism, like it's referred to as like, oh, well, that's like a bad thing, it's like, oh, like state-run support system structure where everyone benefits from the system. And there's like examples given to in the past in history where it wasn't like super effective. And then, socialism gets linked and connected to communism, and then there's a lot of like negative energetic charge attached to the word communism. And what I find very interesting about these two particular words is that, if you just like investigate, look at like the word as the word, like the simplicity of the word. Let's start with, socialism and see how like the word socialism, social relates to, being social is a point of socializing. And, still like within our shared reality here, that is like a very much sought after, like desired thing, socializing. Arguably, like socializing is connected with an individual's happiness, like well-being, state of mind, which is quite fascinating because socialism from the economic perspective is regarded as like, no, 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 like, no. If you look at U.S. politics, socialism is what, the Democrats and the Republicans are saying, like, they're so against, like, no, we can't have socialism. That's bad. But yet, everyone likes to socialize, you know? Like, a very common, activity amongst the masses here on planet Earth is socializing activities. So, it's kind of like, okay, what the fuck? Um, we don't want to have an economic system which is based on the principles of socializing, where everyone receives like benefit. There's like a platform base of support. That's bad. But we want a system that doesn't have that so much, but we want to be social beings and socialize. So, that's just so ridiculous. And now, let's look further into the word communism and see, like, words that, like, exist in relation and within the word communism. Community, um, common, common interests, community. Come on, unity, like a togetherness, a united front. What is like the benefit for the greater good is the greatest good here. And it's just so fascinating how there's just such a it's been programmed in, and obviously this is like specific within like design of fucking how we exist, where there would be such opposition to what is best, and it's because the examples illustrated in the past, were never totally aligned in tune with what is best. And then, argument to further go is like, oh, well, like, look at China. China's a communist country. China's totally fucked. And you know, I don't think China really, represents like the full understanding of what communism could be in the best sense. And yeah, so the word relations here, reflect our worldly relations with each other, with words, what we're accepting and allowing. And it's the poverty mindset, you know. Whether you're rich or poor, it's like this polarity divide still existing. That having the rich mindset, like the polarity mindset is like the contrast opposite of that, and so still, charging that which you don't like. It's kind of like, I'll get to this side of the coin and be the fucking wealth, but the consequence, contrast of that, due to the nature design of the system we're in, will brew the opposite. And, so what are we seeing here? We're seeing like the ever increasing disregard for planet Earth, for humanity, for a united front as like, we're all part of the same team here, you know, this is it. And I implore you to investigate living income guaranteed, which is a viable solution being presented that can be implemented in all countries and which will inevitably be put forth into the political process as the solution which can steer us in a direction where we eradicate the conditions of poverty which are bred, birthed through a faulty economic structure. One of the main principles, pillars of the living income guaranteed is the nationalization of natural resources. And within this, it's not to say that the government controls all the resources, or that's what that means, in fact. It's to make all the people of the country a shareholder within these resources. So, effectively, it's the people are still managing the resources, and in fact, it we can still have like companies that exist today, as like governing bodies, but what we do change is like the law and legislation around the structure to best support everyone here, because I mean, what we're dealing with here really is like property rights, and property rights have been totally disregarded, like life property here. Like to say that, I don't have access to all the natural resources that exist within the country I exist in is totally absurd because I am dependent upon these resources. And for someone, a small interest to have a monopoly over said resources is like a disgrace, a travesty to life. And yeah, so again, I would say check out Living Income Guaranteed. Post a comment on my video to encourage the continuation of discussion on this topic. And yeah, thanks.